All right, it's Monday morning, December 2nd, first day of December. Just thought I'd shoot a quick follow-up video on MSTU. I did a pretty lengthy video on my outlook for this particular stock on Friday. And today, obviously, here, almost a half hour into the open, you can see it has headed lower to start the month. We have a two-down day. It reached its first target, so this to me is an inflection point. I think if you looked at the opening price action today on the 15-minute chart, you would have seen nothing to the upside to start. When it broke the bottom of bar 2 here, I think the logical expectation was to come, not only to yesterday's low, which was kind of, the inside bar low down here, but the pre-market low. And that's why it kind of immediately came to this level, and this would be an area. Now, if it wants to reverse at this point and come back up to the midway point of that first bar, it would start turning the week and the month green. And that's a key reference point right here, the open. This is the open of the month. So as far as I could see on the monthly chart, we talked about this was going to be a new month, and we were going to monitor that reference point closely. And that's kind of the main theme I wanted to point out here in this video, that, it's a big choppy area in here after last month. And as long as we stay red, I could stay biased to the downside. I'm not necessarily expecting all the way, to get a 2-down month. I think it'll be choppy in here, but this will be our reference point to know whether we're working back up higher in the overall uptrend that was established, or is it going to kind of continue chopping to the downside. And if we chop to the downside, then there could be some interesting buys if we take out some lows like this pivot down here and then have a green reversal. That could have broadening action in the short run to some highs that develop here. But for now, I think the logical play out of the gates was to sell, buy puts, or do something here on this break below this line, expecting it to hit this target down here, which it did. And now you kind of watch it real closely. If we can't follow through strongly, you can be very nimble and get out. If it stays below this open, we can be red for as long as it wants to continue. If we kind of break through this area right here, we could be heading to these lows. And that was kind of almost an expectation. When you saw the weekly chart close red, that's why I shot the video at the end of the week and the month. I kind of anticipated that this low would be tested, just given the look of this bar. Now, if we try to head lower, lower, lower and can't hit that, and then we get back up to the open, then that's a good sign that, we're just consolidating in this area and the uptrend might be continuing. So I really want to monitor that reference point now, and that's what you wait for to start a new month. But for now, we're still on that downward bias that I anticipated, and step one was to get through the first bar low towards our target one. We did that. Now step two is to see what happens here. If we break through that, then you can almost anticipate on the weekly chart we're going to be working down here. So you kind of anticipate that stuff. If it just shouldn't develop and then intraday structure changes back to the upside, which would have to come through the midpoint of that first bar in the open, then all of a sudden, you can reverse your expectations to the upside in this one. But until then, I'm going to stay down, and that's kind of what I was looking at going into, once we broke down on bar 3 or 4 here on Friday, I expected lower, and now we're following through lower as well into the weekly lows, and we'll see if we get there or not. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at this one, and just thought I'd follow up given the way things opened here to start the new month and the new week.